Horizon Sumsuji reaction. This is how did the Imperium react to Guilliman's resurrection? Warhammer 40k lore by channel Majorkill. Yep. So this was, I guess, in one of the recent time major updates since there are no Primarchs around. This is the first resurrection, Guilliman, right? And lots of things followed that. But yeah, what was the actual reaction, right? Imperium, how did Imperium react to it? I love how lore even addresses that apparently, because clearly if Majorkill is making video, there is some detail behind that. Like GW actually sent out detail behind how people react to it. So yeah, let's watch this one. I love Majorkill, right? He explains topics like this. I mean, you're not gonna find topics like this in any other Warhammer major Warhammer channels, basically, because Lutin just makes a big documentary style videos, 1.5 hour, who explains everything, right? So small topics like how did people react? Yeah, you can find something like that in Majorkill. So let's watch it.
G'day guys and gal. You're probably thinking one of two things right now. Either, gee whiz Majorkill, what a super awesome interesting video idea. Also, your hair looks great today and I'd love for you to ravage me. Or, Majorkill, you demented drongo. Didn't you already make this video a while ago? Kind of. I made a video that was the broad strokes of how the galaxy reacted to Guilliman's resurrection. And while I did glaze over the Imperium's response, I missed out on some of the most interesting reactions, many of which were actually negative. Not everyone was happy that the Lord of Ultramar was here to save the day. There were purges, conflicts, and even mini civil wars. The Ecclesiarchy and Guilliman also have this weird relationship, with G-Man despising them but realizing their value, whilst the Ecclesiarchy tries to gargle his prime balls. The point—
Imagine that, right? You're Guilliman. You just got resurrected. Oh, people are gonna love that I'm alive. There are purges, fucking civil wars. How dare Guilliman is alive? Imagine the man's mentality. People are not happy that I'm alive, apparently.
What I'm making is that there were very nuanced, interesting, and unexpected reactions within the various Imperial factions that deserve a deeper look. After all, Guilliman's resurrection has been the girthiest piece of lore we've gotten in years, and it's worth playing around with. But before we get started, there are about 50 Majorkill merch hoodies left of both colors, and I really want to move on from these and start planning something new and awesome. So if you buy a Majorkill hoodie, you'll get not one, but 2 t-shirts free. T-shirts come in the same size as the hoodie and are of different colors. After this week, the remaining hoodies and t-shirts are getting binned. So I thought, why not just give you guys some delicious value, get the hoodies in the hands of more people, and prevent some rubbish from ending up in the landfill. In terms of pure quality, it just doesn't get much better. The hoodies are soft, warm, and durable. I've run this through the washer and dryer many times and it hasn't shrunk or lost its, hoodiness. Nor have the designs or anything faded at all. I also specifically requested these types of t-shirts that were a great cut, meaning if you work out and wear one, it's noticeable. However, if you don't, then it's not. Basically, by making it hug around the chest and then baggy around the stomach, you'll look good no matter what your physique is actually like. Link in description. Let's get these boys to a good home. Today we'll go deep into the lore of each Imperial sub-faction's reaction to Guilliman's resurrection, ranging from unhappy—
What gun is that in his background? Imperium with Imperium logo. It's like a hunting rifle with Imperial logo? Okay.
Space Marines to the Custodes that considered murdering Guilliman, all the way to the Imperial Navy who have some harsh opinions of their own. Let's get into it. Despite a bit of controversy that we'll dive into today, the overall reaction to Guilliman's return was overwhelmingly positive. He was a son of the Imperium's god, returned to them at their hour of need. It literally was the most Jesus-esque Messiah bullshit ever that did nothing but confirm and elevate their beliefs. The Ultramarines were ecstatic and instantly more or less reformed their legion under his banner without question, helping Guilliman to reach Terra. Imperial forces on Terra were more than friendly to G-Man, with the Sisters of Silence helping him to defeat Magnus, and then the Custodian Guard fighting alongside him at the Lion's Gate during a very random Cornite invasion of Terra. All in all, a very good first impression that went a long way to affirming Guilliman's return as a genuine boon for the Loyalists, and not just some cheeky, schemy shit by Titsnitch. In saying that though, the Custodes did not trust Guilliman. The Primarchs had ruined their lord's dream and doomed mankind to a slow decay, but they also really didn't give a shit. They were literally like, boo-hoo, Mr. Mathematics has returned with his big space book. The Custodes know the truth of the Imperium, what occurred during the Horus Heresy, and what the Primarchs were like. They honestly just didn't really give much of a shit. They were happy for Guilliman to take leadership of the Imperium, as that still didn't give him authority or command over the Custodian Guard. It was only when Guilliman met with his father and
I like how Custodes like hate all Primarchs because of what happened in Heresy, right? Because half of them turned, half of them didn't, or half of them were loyal, but still in the end, oh boo-hoo, Primarch is back. Who gives a shit? I mean, in the end, you need to understand that they are supposed to be the protector of Emperor, right? So they are going to be that kind of like, you know, not trusting somebody completely type of thing.
The Emperor gave the Custodians the order to help Guilliman via his emissaries, which are special custodians who can speak to the Emperor in their dreams, did they step up to the plate and actually begin working with him. At this point, they were well and truly Team G-Man, with a number of them even actually...
I'm sorry, I paused it too much, but as soon as he said the Emperor actually sent out the message through one of his messengers, I'm just imagining the text-to-speech device Emperor. Like, who's back? Guilliman, for fuck's sake. Fine, help him. Better than nobody.
been inspired by him and admiring him. They never totally trusted him though. Many of the Custodes with him theorized how many of them it would take to kill him, and they had numerous contingencies in case the Lord of Ultramar went rogue. The Sisters of Silence were in a similar boat to the Custodes, although a lot less expressive. I'll tie the reaction of the Sisters of Battle to that of the Ecclesiarchy. The Sisters of Battle haven't had much screen time with G-Man, however their panties have been destroyed by the female ejaculate equivalent of Niagara Falls. They are hyper-religious, so seeing Guilliman return is like the fucking best. I mean, the sisters literally shit the bed whenever they see a custodian guard, so imagine how they feel about Guilliman. Not to mention, he was resurrected with the help of Saint Celestine and fought alongside her in his opening years. As she is the sister of all sisters, Guilliman had all the endorsements he ever needed. However, the Ecclesiarchy wasn't so clean cut. See, the Sisters of Battle had a purpose. They killed bad guys with extreme prejudice and effectiveness. The Ecclesiarchy killed innocent people and fiddled the kiddles diddles. Guilliman was enraged that they even existed, as it was the complete opposite of what his father wanted, and his initial reaction was the desire to tear it all down. However, he stopped when he realized how destructive that would be, and how faith was one of the only things keeping the Imperium together.
Seriously, man, I was just about to say that, right? Like, at the start, in the earliest videos that I watched of any of the Warhammer lore, I said that, like, okay, if any Primarch or Emperor comes back, they would be like, what the fuck is this? Ecclesiarchy, all this bullshit? This is opposite of what I wanted. Right, but over time I realized like they have to have this, right? That Armor 3 mod video, the Rubik's Raptor thing that I watched, that kind of encompasses that, like when chaos comes, all the lightning, all this demonry and everything. Imagine that, like you need something to believe in. So they need to think the Emperor is a god. They need to have this religious thing for, to give them this kind of a strength, right? They need to be, zealot-like, right? Like believe in Emperor, everything will be fine. They need that. Otherwise, how are they going to fight all this shit, right? Necrons, fucking chaos, how are they going to fight that? So if he, Guilliman's like, fuck that. This is beyond anything my father wanted. And if it destroys all that, a lot of chain command, a lot of beliefs, a lot of things would just crumble down. And Imperium would get crippled in a way.
He had a priest, a representative of the Ecclesiarchy, accompanying him who wanted to suck his ultracock. The priest would occasionally say shit that would piss Guilliman off. G-Man would get angry, and
seriously, with the latest, YouTube rules that came, I guess just a month ago, and this video just 4 days ago, did Majorkill got any detail about that or what? Because he's cursing a lot, but I don't know. I hope his channel, his video suddenly doesn't become restricted, right? Yellow marker. Because that would be just fucked up, because once YouTube know you, they'll probably do that constantly, right? In this video, he's just going off with the sisters and this.
The priest got religiously turned on by the thought of him getting killed by Guilliman. After G-Man had assessed the situation and disposed of a few bad actors within the upper echelon of the Ecclesiarchy, he concluded that whilst this wasn't ideal, the faith of the Ecclesiarchy and its influence could be a powerful tool for good. So he basically said what he needed to say to get them on side, often debating with a few of the priests, but overall indulging their religious fantasies. I mean, Guilliman himself has started questioning if the Emperor is a god, since the Chaos Gods are clearly real. Overall, it's very interesting watching such a practical dude deal with shit such as faith and religion. Guilliman's experience with the High Lords of Terror, however, didn't go as cleanly. When he returned, he more or less instantly took control of the Imperium, ordering a planet-wide purge of hidden Xenos, mutants, chaos cults, and many corrupt officials. Millions were killed within weeks. He also heavily curbed the power of the High Lords as a loyalty test. Most of them passed, however a few were forced to retire or felt as if they had lost too much power. Hence they attempted a coup that involved custodian guards fighting Minotaur Space Marines, before the coup was crushed and its members killed. The head of the Navigator Houses, once one of the most powerful people in the galaxy, tried to extort Guilliman and get more wealth to allow G-Man to use his navigators. Guilliman responded by having him flogged and dragged through the streets. Needless to say, Guilliman got his navigators without paying a single dollar over what they had agreed on.
Yeah, see, Guilliman is like that guy, right? Micromanage everything, check everything, strategize everything. So if Guilliman is back and he's the only guy, right? He's the only one who has authority now because Emperor is just on the throne, right? Every Primarch is dead, right? So he's the only one with the actual authority. He's the physically there, right? So you could see this coming, like, okay, he's going to reform the whole, Imperium from left to right. It is in the, imperialistic empire, Imperium, right? So this shit is about to happen, right? Like, who has the loyalty, who's above their head, who's not going to be loyal enough.
Either through diplomacy, execution, or humiliation, G-Man was able to get each and every High Lord on side in record time, making them very focused and competent while he went off to pursue his legendary Indomitus Crusade. Speaking of the Indomitus Crusade, how about the Imperial Navy? How did they react? Well, whilst they also fell in line, a lot of them weren't super stoked. The Navy isn't the most religious organization. It's full of proud, practical men and women who think very highly of themselves and who honor tradition. So Guilliman returning wasn't this holy shit, God is back type of vibe. G-Man is a micromanager that doesn't give a shit about people's traditions or pride. To him, warships are pieces on a chessboard. Their value is what they can do for him and the Imperium. He will always choose the best ship to lead in the most optimal engagements. He doesn't give a fuck if one ship has more honors or a better pedigree. The Navy, on the other hand, does. There was a battle group commander who, after railing a bunch of space coke, went on a massive rant about Guilliman and how the Primarch's institutions didn't rename her battle group correctly after they had merged with one another. She was very unhappy about it, upset that her glorious battleship wasn't the new name of her merged battle group due to technicalities. Guilliman also felt a similar way about the Imperial Navy, hating their desire for glory and honor, which they seemed to put ahead of actually decent battle strategies.
Guilliman is right here, right? If you let your pride and all that, all that bullshit, if you let that thing be better than your effectiveness, your whole job is to fight wars, right? So all this petty bullshit, they're like, oh, this is disrespectful. He didn't name me this. He didn't give this kind of respect. He doesn't honor our tradition, whatever this and that. Guilliman's like, I'm the only one with, I just see stats where you're going to be effective or not. That's how wars happen, right? All this bravado and bullshit, of course he's not going to be with that. So Guilliman is right. And in the end, Guilliman is like, I'm the Primarch. Shut the fuck up, get in line.
Whenever he senses one of them putting pride ahead of practicality, he immediately removes them from command. In one such engagement, he even gave command to the Mechanicus fleet accompanying them, because they had the best plan to deal with an enemy stronghold. For context, Guilliman has never really given a shit about battle fleet honor, preferring to use a swarm of smaller ships to give the enemy a death by 1,000 cuts, as well as provide himself with a lot of tactical options rather than having these fuck-off massive warships that just bomb each other's tits off until the one with the thicker shields and bigger guns wins.
Yeah.
And he was right. He was able to take out the Word Bearer's flagship.
I'm just imagining he just taking all these admirals or whatever, whoever having issue, just grab them by the neck, taking them all the way to the castle in front of Emperor. You see that? You see the skeleton sitting right there? That's the shit we are dealing with right now. We have to win because that guy's almost dying. Emperor just in his mind, control, Guilliman, control.
And also nearly claimed the World Eater's flagship in one engagement, using a ragtag makeshift fleet of smaller ships. Overall though, despite their grievances, no Imperial ship commander is disobeying Guilliman or turning to chaos purely because he's got a bit of an overbearing boss that doesn't care about tradition. It's more so, just petty ranting. I know, you want to know how the Space Marines reacted. Well, 95% of it was similar to the Ultramarines.
Fanboys, probably.
A loyalist Primarch is back. Let's get this bread. However, the 5% were very, very interesting and kind of embarrassing. As mentioned, the Minotaurs helped a few of the ex-High Lords with their coup attempt against Guilliman and were only called off at the last minute. this wasn't really them reacting as much as it was them being completely loyal to specific individuals. The Blood Angels were saved by Guilliman's arrival during the devastation of Baal, hence they were honoured to see him and gratefully took the Primaris reinforcements he offered. Well, you know, other than Gabriel Seth. He wasn't too happy about it. The Imperial Fists were also happy, being one of the first chapters to greet Guilliman due to their role as the Praetorians of Terror. The Dark Angels acted like fucking morons, which was disappointing as they are one of my favourite chapters. Basically, they thought Guilliman was coming to them in person because he found out about the Fallen. They were like, shit, he's gonna murder our asses. Maybe we should blow up his ship and kill him, then try cover it up. Yeah, they literally thought that. Fortunately, that moment of retardation passed, and they spoke with G-Man and are now firmly on his side when they realised he just wanted to give them fancy new Space Marine warriors. The meeting with the Black Templars was spicy. Helbrecht is a staunch, honourable man who doesn't get talked down to ever. He debated and even beefed with Guilliman. G-Man wanted him to help the wider Imperium. Helbrecht wanted to keep chasing Gazkul. Eventually, G-Man convinced him to abandon his selfish crusade in favour of helping the Imperium, but it was probably the most grief G-Man had gotten so far. To make matters worse, a sub-faction within the Black Templars rejected their Primaris reinforcements.
I like how we're just reforming everything. I just want to, you know, chase Gazkul here. Gazkul. I don't know the name. You know, it's like, I want to chase that guy. Guilliman's like, see, this is the problem right here. It's just very narrow vision. You have tunnel vision right now. Yeah, we need to think broader spectrum here.
And started killing them, creating a mini civil war that the Custodes themselves had to get involved in. Just goes to show that weaponized autism is a double-edged blade. We haven't seen many of the other original chapters' reactions to Guilliman. However, since pretty much everyone has taken up the Primaris and happily uses them, it's safe to say that the reactions have been very positive across the board. The Inquisition's reaction to Guilliman is a hard one to pinpoint, as there are so many conflicting sub-factions within it. Some would be stoked, some would be cautious, some are probably plotting his assassination.
Way too
some
big,
are probably
obviously.
plotting to stop the plots of his assassination. We haven't had much in the way of in-law examples. However, the High Lord representative of the Inquisition is on G-Man's side for now, so we can assume most of them are as well. The Mechanicus is also pretty pro-G-Man and reacted positively.
Let's be honest, if Guilliman really wants everybody's loyalty, he has to do the same thing that Emperor did, right? Before he united all of Imperium, right? Actually going on crusade on his own, you know, planet to planet to see who's loyal, who's not, you know, cross anybody who's not loyal and go through this lengthy process before he can accumulate entire Imperium under him. Because otherwise there'll be so many, you know, conflicting things here and there. Somebody's with him, somebody's completely opposite. Obviously Imperium's way too big, too many different opinions. They're ruled by different people because it's so, you know, it's in disarray in a way, right? Not the same way how it was in 31st millennia under Emperor.
After all, Belsarius Cawl was instrumental in Guilliman's resurrection, and he is one of the Mechanicus' top dogs. It isn't all sunshine and rainbows though. Many of the cult Mechanicus are scared of invention and innovation, something that Guilliman has now authorized and encouraged, whilst others, like Cawl, love that shit and have been very happy with the new order. Either way, Guilliman is a much more effective and efficient leader of the Imperium, two things that get a tech priest cogs all nice and oily. While the initial reactions were a bit all over the place, everyone has fallen in line one way or another. This is why the Indomitus Crusade was so successful. An Imperium united and purged of corruption, pooling its resources into a common goal, is an Imperium that's going to be pretty hard to stop. Just goes to show that mankind has always been capable of winning 40k, they just had to get out of their own way. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up the hoodie, buy one.
Seriously man, Guilliman is basically the next best guy, right? If somebody has to take over the reign, because he's that guy, right? Micromanaging everything, strategizing everything. If somebody just hot-blooded Primarch would come back, I mean, he would be badass, right? He would fuck things up, obviously, but wouldn't be so great at managing Imperium in the state that it's in, right? So Guilliman is kind of best guy, right? Because after Emperor, who's like Horus, who doesn't exist anymore, literally is ripped from existence or whatever that is, right? And the next guy is Guilliman, right? Actual competent Primarch. But yeah. Alright, well, that was how did the Imperium react to Guilliman's resurrection. Warhammer 40k was called Majorkill. Majorkill should think about creating some kind of a parody style short movie or Warhammer, because this shit is so perfect. Alright, well, I guess I'll see you next time.